Led me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. I think it's really important to break the couplet from the rest of it. That, as it is often in Shakespeare, that couplet is really separate from the content of the sonnet. And I think you can read it a couple ways, but I think the dismissiveness of that last line, like, I never read, like, what are you, crazy? I did write, and people have loved. The thing that I just said is 100% true. So even in your voice, obviously, that couplet's going to be separate, but you want to separate it out, I think, with your movement on the stage and where you're looking. And as for the monologue, I think, as I said the other day, the most important thing is to mine the different levels of emotional manipulation that she's using in this speech here. So I think 75 starts out with that self-pitying, kind of whiny tone, and then the next two lines are, I think, more of a serious note. I think she's attacking him there because he's apparently turned away from her in kind of disgust at her self-pitying, and then she's angry. So why are you turning away? There's nothing wrong with me. It's not like I'm a leper or anything. Look on me. That look on me, I think, is an order that she's using in her more motherly tone. Same with the next line, where she's being a little nastier, to accusing him of being a snake. Could be a little more vicious there than the others, which are a little more commanding. Then the next bunch where she's saying, well, if you're going to be a snake, deaf, you might as well be poisonous too and kill me, and you love that other person more than you love me, so worship his statue and not mine. Those can be all a little more on the whiny side. But then at line 84, where she says, was I for this and I racked upon the sea, I think that's where you have a break, because then she's reflecting back on the things that she just said. The stuff that I'm getting from you, you're rejecting me, you're insulting me, you're treating me like I'm nothing. Was it for all of that I spent this terrible time on the sea? So it's kind of a self-pitying line, but it's angrier. She's accusing him of causing her a lot of pain now. So that can be, I think, a break from the more whiny lines that came before that. And then at 87, just to clarify what she's saying there, is when she just said, I'm going through all of this, I went through all this on the sea just to be treated this way when I got here, that what boded this, meaning, was there something that suggested to me that what I was going to get when I got to England was going to be bad? And that's what she's saying there. There was something that warned me. It was this wind that seemed to say, don't go there, but I went there anyway. That's a little bit unclear in terms of the meaning. And then again, as we went through the other day, that last line, I think, is not nasty. I don't think that she's yelling there. I think that's where, if you're going to be weeping at all, that's where she would really be genuinely weeping. And unkindness is a really important word. She could have said something a lot stronger, but she's choosing that milder term so as not to antagonize him, but to get him back on her side. So the whole thing is a speech of manipulation, but she's using different approaches and different tones of voice in order to manipulate him to see things her way. So you want to be aware of the shifts in it, both in your voice and, as I said about the sonnet too, when you get to the couplet, and even within the sonnet too, of where you're looking and how you're moving around the stage. The stage is pretty big, so you have a ton of space to move around, and I think you want to be practicing things like that. These aren't particularly dynamic speeches. Sometimes you get ones from the history plays where people are actually in battle or something, and there's obvious ways to move. here there aren't obvious ways, but I think you want to use as much of the idea of movement as you can, especially in the monologue, to buttress the changes in your voice.